I wanted to share some ideas I had about motion lines. So when you're drawing 2D stuff or drawings and you want to represent three-dimensionality, usually they use lines to represent movement. And I've been trying to think about a lot of different variations, and there are more that I need to experiment with. And I just did some really basic drawings that I wanted to share. So one, I had the idea, there's like a vanishing point, the building's going towards it, and like a guy kind of like flying, and they're like these motion lines. It's probably not perfect, but I was trying to think how they kind of, everything's heading towards the vanishing point. But the point is, all of these lines are just straight lines. Well, I mean, almost. Obviously, there's some line variation with my freehand style. And I was also thinking about C-curves. So the thing about C-curves is there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. It's kind of weird because usually when we think of C-curves, you just think of the letter C, but you very well could do it backwards as well. And if you see the motion that it follows, I decided to even go with a dashed C-curve instead. You very well could have used just a straight on, like a continuous C-curve, but I decided to be weird here. I was just trying to think of like a dart, like, a dart would start back here, it's being thrown, and it's like following that curvature until it hits the board. I had another idea of a C-curve, and this one is just more of a straight C-curve. Think of like a baseball being thrown and it's coming towards you. I very well could have I could have done more. Like, I could have shown, I'm looking through my camera when I'm doing this, so please excuse the sloppiness, but thinking about how in 3D space, that, the farther away it is, the smaller it is, and when it comes closer to the viewer, it becomes larger. I thought of an S-curve. So there are S-curves, but this one's a bit of a variation because usually, when you think of an S-curve, I think of the letter S. But this one, I kind of ended up doing a bit of a variation, and I thought of a person skiing down a mountain. And, as they ski, they have the two skis, and they're leaving tracks in the snow as they go down. But you also notice that clearly, because the person hasn't gone down further yet, that the path stops there. But there are two lines. There are two lines here because of both skis. Another thing I was thinking of a focal point when it comes to an image. There's going to be some point where it's probably about there, but maybe it's the whole frog. I used all of these straight lines around a frog, and you could a very crudely drawn frog to draw attention to it, because it's like all of it kind of like captures the eye and causes all of the attention to be drawn to here, whether this frog is like, I don't know, plot relevant, or maybe shining or something like that. Maybe it's a golden frog, something along the lines of that. I was thinking how one could just use regular straight lines for a different purpose to do that. I had this other idea of, I should have drawn some fire. Someone was making a s'more, and, I guess they were just roasting a marshmallow, and it caught on fire, or it didn't catch on fire, it just kind of burned. So now it's kind of like cooling off. It was on a stick, it's a bit charred, and there are these S-curves, regular S-curves coming off of it. I wanted to include that example because I kind of included a different variation example up here. And my last example is just using, kind of straight lines. Yeah, pretty much straight lines to show something getting larger. It was kind of similar to the baseball example I had, but I wanted to do it here again. I've been thinking a lot about how to represent movement in 2D space, and I really need to experiment more with these, and there's a lot more that I can do. I probably need to add more three-dimensionality to these lines. I mean, I very well could have done that here, like I could have like made these different types of variations of S-curves or whatnot. But yeah, I wanted to do this, and I wanted to share this. As I do more, I'll probably share them. And I just did these examples quickly, but, you know, I'm really thinking about representing 3D stuff in 3D space. So thanks for listening. But yeah, the big things: straight line, C-curve, S-curve. The funny thing is I mentioned an S-curve variation, but, you know, there are C-curve variations. I've always found it weird that people will say a C-curve or an S-curve when, you know, they follow all these variation patterns and they don't match one-to-one. But I guess maybe the idea behind straight curves, or just straight lines, C-curves, and S-curves is the fact that they all make a motion similar to that. But yeah, thanks for listening. I hope this video helps you out. Bye.